Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. So my name is Ian Truesdale. I'm a solutions architect here in the public sector team at AWS. And my role is to help our customers get the best out of our customer experience technologies in order to better serve their citizens. So one of my first jobs actually after leaving school a long time ago, was working in a contact center. And since then I've designed, built and supported contact centers of all sizes from 10 seats right up to 100,000 seats, as both a customer, a partner and a vendor. So I'm really looking forward to the session today. So thanks a lot for joining. And over the next hour, we're going to talk about some of the challenges local authorities are facing and why they're turning to Amazon Connect to get started with building their cloud-based contact center. I'm also really happy today to be joined by Dan Blundell, Head of Digital at LGSS. So Dan's going to help us understand the approach that LGSS took to delivering a new contact center for their councils in under 4 weeks. And then we'll also hear about what's next for LGSS using Amazon Connect and Amazon Lex. And then towards the end of the session today, we'll look at how you can use technology to gain insights into both citizen and agent experience and identify emerging themes. And then we'll follow up with next steps. So really understanding how you can get started building your contact center in Amazon Connect. And we've got a huge amount of resources to help you with that. So just looking at some of the challenges that local authorities, especially in the UK, are facing today, and local authorities are seeing a reduction in core funding, which can drive a need to reduce upfront expenditure. And as part of this, a lot of local authorities have legacy on-premises or hosted contact center solutions, and they require a lot of upfront investment. And they also suffer from end-of-life issues. So I'm sure everyone's been familiar with requiring to go through costly upgrade cycles to both hardware and software to release new functionality. And you can't actually get that functionality until you move to the next version or you upgrade your licensing. And there's often associated professional services with that as well. And complex and proprietary integrations and software tools are commonplace, which result in risk when you're upgrading individual components. And being able to handle sudden spikes in demand can be a massive challenge with legacy solutions. So where you would typically provision and pay for capacity to handle peak volume of the traffic expected, so you would understand from your forecasts what part of the year you're expecting the highest traffic volumes, and then you have to actually scale your infrastructure manually to meet that. So you might have to contact your telephony provider and order new channels to deal with increased call demands. So an increasing number of organizations have seen demand surpass the forecasted peaks due to requests of assistance from the public as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this has shown a lot of limitations in existing contact center infrastructure, as well as long lead times for additional capacity. And platforms have been struggling to cope with the increased loads, which has impacted the ability to support their citizens. And we're also adapting to new ways of working. So we've seen a massive change in culture over the last 6 months, or 6 to 7 months especially. So according to Gartner, pre-outbreak, nearly 7 in 10 customer service and support organizations worked from traditional contact centers, and less than 10% of staff worked from home. So that's now changed dramatically. So going forward, we expect 71% of contact centers will be remote. And having contact center teams tied to a physical desk phone presented a number of challenges. But even where legacy solutions could provide work from home remote capability or remote work from home capability, enabling agents to work from home can have really complex requirements. So it could be including setting up your network connectivity so that you can put a hardware device in your agent's home. So it might be IP phones, or even you need to route calls to a landline or a mobile. It often requires hands-on assistance from both networking and security and telephony teams. And despite all of these challenges, citizens are expecting an increased level of service. So despite funding pressures, citizens' exposure to private sector customer service has meant that they expect more transparent, accessible, and responsive services from the public sector. So for example, citizens are used to using applications and social media platforms in their leisure, and then they expect interactions with local authorities to offer a similar level of experience. So by moving to cloud-based contact centers, you can reduce your cost, improve reliability, and then gain flexibility by allowing you to adapt quickly to the needs of the public. And by offering a channel of choice, you're able to meet the requirements of your customers across different communication methods. So whether that's by voice or text-based interactions such as web chat, SMS, email, social media, it's also important to ensure that the methods of interaction that you offer are really well maintained and responsive. So it's often better to offer fewer methods of communication and create a consistent experience across them all and do them all really well, rather than offering a huge range of channels, communication channels for the public to contact you, and then create a massive administrative overhead and offer a poorer experience. And by automating simple tasks such as handling frequently asked questions, taking payments automatically, and reporting issues such as potholes or housing repairs, you can actually free up your colleagues in the contact center to deal with more complex inquiries and where they can add value with their expertise. And that also means that citizens that are requiring more urgent assistance, so maybe those that are vulnerable in the community, get that assistance in a much faster time. And what we're seeing is that through this process of automation, you can also provide citizens with consistent service despite sudden increases in demand. So citizens can still self-service via your website using web chat or automated IVRs 24 hours, 7 days a week. And agents can work from home and respond to citizen queries even during unplanned events. And it's really important to be able to innovate without risk. So traditionally, innovation has been difficult and expensive. So we've already talked about the on-premises or even a hosted contact center infrastructure and being able to upgrade that or increase the level of functionality. So having access to the latest technology required capital expenditure. And long lead times to develop and deploy often meant that by the time you'd released a new integration or built that new customer journey, it was already outdated. So cloud contact centers allow you to innovate quickly and easily by providing a breadth of services such as machine learning, databases, and analytics as well. And what we're also seeing is that data is key. So using data to gain insights. So I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we've called a contact center, we've spoken to someone, and then for whatever reason we've needed to call back later and follow up on the same inquiry. And it's really frustrating for both, yourself as the caller, but also for the agent as well. To have to go through everything all over again. So the experience can be improved by using data to drive the conversation. And data can be used to better understand why a citizen might be contacting you. So if you sent a letter, for example, with a council tax reminder, and the next day that person gets in touch, and it's the first time they've been in touch in some time, then there's a high likelihood that those two events are related. And you can proactively offer specific services to do that. And data can be used to drive the agent experience as well. So you can provide background on previous contacts across multiple communication channels in one location, such as agent desktop clients or CRM systems, which can be automatically populated. And contextual data with full conversation history can also be passed to the agent after there's already been an interaction with the chat or voice bot, where the bot's not been able to deal with the inquiry fully and is escalated to a human. And just looking at where this kind of data can come from in the public sector space for local authorities, and the answer is loads of different places. So councils are responsible for and have access to numerous different services, and we won't go through every one of these today, but it's just to kind of show you the breadth and depth of data that's available today. And this data has the ability to drive intelligent action to improve services, increase efficiency, and reduce cost. So just looking at an example of, the adoption of cloud-based contact centers for an on-premises solution. So the Royal Borough of Windsor Maidenhead Council worked with one of our partners, Voice Foundry, to rapidly migrate from an on-premises Siemens-based platform to a cloud-based solution and to continue supporting their residents who were not able to leave their homes as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So Voice Foundry designed and deployed Amazon Connect in 10 days and to provide a reliable and flexible contact center platform. And this change enabled over 200 staff and volunteers to provide support to to over 3,000 quarantined residents throughout the area. And they did this using Amazon Connect. So I want to talk a bit about what is Amazon Connect. So it's an easy to use omni-channel cloud-based contact center based on Amazon Web Services. So it's got all the things you would expect of a contact center platform. So you've got skills-based routing, so your citizens can get through to the right agent at the right time. It also has inbuilt voice and chat recording, so that's not a separate platform, it's not a separate license. It's all built into Amazon Connect. So your voice interactions are then stored within what are called S3 buckets or object storage within AWS, and you've got access to that data as your data. And chat transcripts are also stored in a similar fashion. You've also got access to built-in real-time and historical analytics. So the Amazon Connect web-based GUI provides built-in reporting to enable you to understand what's happening within the contact center environment across agents, queues, telephone numbers, both in real time and on a historical basis. And we also offer high quality voice capability. And this is really important for what we're seeing at the moment with agents based remotely. Agents can be based anywhere with a web browser and no local software to install. And Amazon Connect delivers high quality voice for both the customer and the agent to that desktop based browser. And from a connectivity point of view, agents only need a stable internet connection that's really low bandwidth requirements. And underneath Amazon Connect, we've got this multi-tenanted architecture. So in AWS, we have a couple of terms, if you're not familiar with them already. So we use the term region and availability zone. So when you build an Amazon Connect contact center in AWS, you choose which region you want it to be built in. So for example, London is a geographical region. And all a region is a geographically isolated area. And within that region, we've got multiple availability zones. And an availability zone contains one or more data centers connected together with high bandwidth, low latency networking. And the telephony architecture that also sits and integrates with this is fully provided by Amazon Connect and AWS and with resiliency built in. So it doesn't matter whether you've got 50 agents, 500 agents, 5,000 agents, regardless of size, our telephony will automatically scale up and down based on your demand. So you don't have to pay for your peak capacity and you don't also have to manage relationships with suppliers or telephony carriers because it's fully managed by AWS on your behalf. So just looking at the differentiators from an AWS perspective, so Amazon Connect is 100% cloud-based. So that means you're always on the latest version. You can take advantage of new functionality as soon as it's available without those costly upgrades that we talked about or purchasing additional licensing. There's no hardware to install. So everything is based in the cloud. You don't have to stand anything up in your data centers or any of your suppliers' data centers. Agents can make and receive calls, and contact center support teams can access Amazon Connect from anywhere with that desktop web browser. And there's no plugins to install in the browser or anything like that. It works natively with our supported browsers. And we also provide an easy to use self-service based interface. So that means that you don't actually need to contact AWS to get started with Amazon Connect. We'd obviously love to hear from you and we'd love to support you, but you can literally log into the Amazon Connect console and you can spin up a contact center in a matter of minutes. You can claim a telephone number and you can start taking calls, I say within 5-10 minutes of standing everything up. And all of that can be done through that graphical user interface. We also offer dynamic, personal, and natural contact flows. So what we mean by this is that we offer a graphical user interface as well and a contact flow editor. So you can literally drag and drop blocks to build the experience that you want to offer your citizens. And that can be changeable. So depending on the time of day or depending on events that are taking place within your local area, you can provide different messaging. You can route calls to different locations. And you can also switch automation on and off. So you might want a bot to actually deal with the interaction rather than a human for a period of time if you feel like it's something where your colleagues in the contact center aren't going to add any value to that conversation. Maybe it's just providing information. And you can also personalize that experience as well. So we'll talk a little we'll talk in a short while about integration points into different systems that are available within the organization and how easy that is to do. But what that means is that when your citizens are getting in touch, you can extract that information from various different sources to personalize their experience. And Amazon Connect's also an open platform. So it's really simple to integrate with your existing infrastructure. So you can leverage standard languages or pre-built integrations, ensuring that you can bring forward any applications that you want to continue using. So such as things like workforce management systems or customer relationship management systems as well, or being able to experiment with new technologies such as voice biometrics. And we have a really strong AWS services and partner landscape. So we have services around Amazon Connect, which we'll talk about in a bit, which support Amazon Connect to provide additional functionality available natively within AWS. But we also have a really strong partner network, both from a consulting partner network and a technology partner network to expand capability as well. And it's not just from a voice perspective. So traditionally you think of contact centers as voice, but we offer an omni-channel experience. So what that means is that you can add the chat channel into Amazon Connect as well as voice, and you can build both chat and voice experiences at exactly the same time using the same set of resources so that citizens also get a consistent experience. But from an administrative point of view, it's really easy to build these experiences. And with Amazon Connect Chat, you can build it once and enable it everywhere. So you can actually build it within your environment, and then you can deploy it to your website or your mobile application or wherever you choose. And we offer asynchronous and synchronous chat. And these terms can be confusing, but what we mean by synchronous chat is that when you type a chat message via web chat, and you're maybe expecting a response straight away. So you ask a question and then you're expecting an immediate response. And that's fully supported by Amazon Connect. We also support asynchronous chat, and that means that if you've got other things to do, so I know myself, if I'm on web chat and I've maybe got multiple browser tabs open with a company, and then life happens. So I need to go and see to my daughter, or the doorbell goes, or things like that. Sometimes you're not present for that chat. So with Amazon Connect, what it will do is it will actually wait for you, and then when you come back, anything up to 25 hours later, you can continue that chat session. And the agent you're actually speaking to on the other end, if you're speaking to an agent rather than a bot, get the full context of that history. So even if that agent has gone off shift, the original agent you're speaking to, and a new agent is on shift, you then can pick up that conversation and they have that full context of the previous conversation. And it goes without saying, but everything else and everything in AWS security is job zero. So Amazon Connect Chat is encrypted end to end, and we offer no-code chatbots. So it's really easy to deploy Amazon Connect Chat to your website or to your apps with no code. We also provide the tools so that if you do have a development team or if you're working with a team of developers, then you've got full access to to develop the application even further by coding if you wish. And like the voice experience as well, so both voice and Amazon Connect Chat is on a pay-as-you-go basis. So everything we've talked about, so we've talked about the highly scalable architecture, we've talked about the dynamic and personal call routing, the ability to do call recordings, log chat transcripts, all of that stuff is based on a pay-as-you-go basis. So for voice, all you're paying for is the time that you're actually connected to and helping your citizens, and then for chat, you're just paying on a per message basis. So this is really good for organizations where you've maybe got a number of agents configured for the contact center, but you're not fully utilizing them all the time. So you're not paying for that peak level all the time. You're just paying for what you use from a voice perspective, and you've not got licenses sitting there going dormant. And then just looking at a customer that is taking advantage of Amazon Connect Chat recently. So the UK Post Office customer inquiries skyrocketed by 37% to 4,000 contacts a week through their online Contact Us form. And customers really needed to check information such as when branches were open, confirm the services they require were available, and they needed a way to communicate more effectively. So they deployed Amazon Connect Chat, enabling their agents to provide customers with instant message response to queries, and the power of AWS combined with the urgency of the situation meant that they were able to deploy chat in just 3 weeks. And it doesn't stop there. So the post office are then iterated on that build and using Amazon Connect to further improve the service. And that's once they've received feedback from both their customers and their agents as well. And we just want to have a quick look at what we call the contact control panel. So within Amazon Connect, we talked about the web-based contact control panel, and you can see it on the right-hand side. So this is the piece that gives agents controls for handling contacts. And I'm very deliberately saying contacts because we're not talking about just calls. So you'll see over here on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you've got different tabs for both voice and for chat. And then you've got different, in this case, there's a chat session, 2 chat sessions going on. So you can see on the left-hand chat session with Nikki Wolf that you're actually actively working on that chat session just now. And then over on the right-hand side, there's another chat session with Stephen Nelson. And we can see there's a wee indicator there with the fact that there's an active chat waiting for us to respond to. And with the Amazon Connect Contacts Control Panel, or this soft phone here, there's a huge amount of flexibility. So from that single interface, agents can handle up to 5 concurrent chats, or they can be on a voice call. And typically you're not on a voice call and handling multiple chats at the same time. So that's an extremely hard thing to do, but the efficiency of chat means that you can actually, because you've got that asynchronous nature of the conversation, you can jump between chat sessions and still offer great levels of customer experience. But it really does depend. So it's up to your organization to actually start this up, start using it on Amazon Connect, and then understand what works best for yourselves. And you can also embed this soft phone here within different applications. So we provide an API or an application programmable interface, which allows you to embed this soft phone into things like CRM systems. You could also build custom desktops as well. And we have a number of partners that also offer packaged desktop environments for Amazon Connect, which embed this soft phone if you wanted to do something different. So looking at the different services around Amazon Connect. So we talked earlier on, Amazon Connect is a service within the AWS cloud. And the great thing about this is that you can migrate your contact center to Amazon Connect, and then suddenly you've got access to hundreds, over 150 AWS services, and that number is constantly growing. And then what you can do is, if you wanted to, you can migrate your existing functionality to Amazon Connect, and then actually expand that functionality and innovate as you move through. So just looking at some of the common services within the AWS cloud that customers use with Amazon Connect. So we've got messaging services down on the left-hand side. So we've got Amazon Pinpoint. So that allows you to send voice notifications. You can send email, SMS, push notifications through a mobile application as well. All from Amazon Connect. So you can instruct Amazon Connect to engage Amazon Pinpoint and carry out those actions. We've also got these AI services here, which we'll talk about, and Dan from LGSS will also talk about as well as part of the solutions they're building. So we've got Amazon Lex, which natively integrates into Amazon Connect and provides a natural language-based IVR to allow you to deal with customer inquiries. So you could either use this to get information about what the customer's calling about, and they're able to speak that naturally, and then you can then make an action based on that. So you could route the call through to specific agents, or alternatively, you can use Amazon Lex to then be a driver to automated tasks. So for instance, if it's a frequently asked question, what are the opening times for a particular office, or what can I do with a particular recycling center, that type of thing, then Amazon Lex can handle that automatically and provide a response without actually having to be passed through to an agent. And another service just to call out here is Amazon Polly. So this is our text-to-speech service. So this allows you to actually, within the contact flow editor within Amazon Connect, is rather than upload like a static announcement or a WAV file, Amazon Polly allows you actually just to type in exactly what you would like callers to hear. And we use neural text-to-speech voices now within Amazon Connect. So really lifelike, human-like voices, which are then, take the text that you enter within the contact flow and play that out to your citizens as well. So a lot of the time they don't actually realize straight away that they're speaking to to an automated service, and it's really good from the point of view of dynamically updating messages in response to events. So if there's flooding in a particular area, you can easily just update with some text, or you can actually push the update straight away through to the contact flow, and citizens will straight away get that updated messaging, and that saves that additional time of trying to find someone to record a message and then stick it up, and it keeps the service consistent as well, so that citizens have always got that kind of consistent experience when dealing with your organization. And as well as the integrated services within the AWS cloud, Amazon Connect is also an open platform. So the data is your data. So we've got things like call recording and transcripts, which go into your S3 storage within your AWS account. We've also got the agent data as well. So data that gets exported from Amazon Connect in an open format can then be ingested by workforce management systems, allow you to do forecasting and scheduling for staff. And you've also got metrics as well. So these metrics can be exported to a data warehouse. So we talked earlier on about the user interface and the fact that you can do real-time and historical reporting through that user interface, but you also can extract that raw data in an open format to then be consumed and ingested into other solutions. And those solutions might be in AWS. You might use business intelligence tools within AWS, or alternatively, they can be exported to to other solutions, even in other cloud environments. It's completely up to you, and it's your data, so you have the flexibility to do what you want with it. And just looking at some of our integration partners that use this data. So we've got kind of CRM systems. We've also got security and voice biometrics. We've talked about workforce management systems. We can do predictive routing and analytics. So these integration partners are technology partners and provide our customers with the ability to expand on Amazon Connect by bringing their technology solutions to add value to the citizen experience, and also to add value to the way you operate as an organization. A great thing about this as well is because we work with some of the leading technology providers within the contact center space, is that some of these technology providers might already be familiar to you, and it might already be solutions that you have today within your current environment. So you can take advantage of the latest cloud-based versions of these solutions, but you've still got that familiar look and feel that your staff members are used to. So I've talked enough, and I really appreciate you bearing with me. So it's with great pleasure. We've talked about some of our customer case studies, but there's nothing actually better than talking to one of our customers and finding out how they've been able to innovate with Amazon Connect. So I'd say it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Dan Blundell, who's head of digital at LGSS. Dan, I'm just going to change to allow you to present your screen, and feel free to take over when you're ready.
Thanks, Ian. Hopefully that's come up now and we can see that one. I'm just going to check. You see that one all right?
Yep, it's all good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Cool. Thank you, Ian. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to be here. It's nice to kind of get an opportunity to share what we've been working on and just kind of what it's meant to the organizations we've been working with and how we've gone about it and all those kinds of things. So yeah, it's hopefully going to be useful to everyone here. So also thank you to you for being here as well. So I'll start off with a little bit about kind of where I've come from, what we've been doing, and what LGSS is. So I'm Dan. I'm head of digital at LGSS, and LGSS is a shared service between Cambridgeshire, Milton Keynes, and Northamptonshire councils. We've spent the last 10 years delivering shared back office services with the kind of view to reducing cost, but improving service quality. And we cover services like IT, procurement, HR, finance. And in particular, something I'm going to talk about today is we also offer a shared revenues and benefits service. Today, I'm going to kind of run through two particular things. One is how we've redeveloped a contact center for a customer that we onboarded for revenues and benefits service. And the second one, I'm going to kind of talk about something a little bit more recent, where we're actively working on today for some local government reform changes that are happening in Northamptonshire. And we've built a kind of switchboard voice bot for working through some of the challenges that new authorities in Northamptonshire are facing. And we'll come a bit more to that a bit later. I'm head of digital. I run a digital service design team. We have software engineers, we have DevOps engineers, and we work through challenges that each of the shared service organizations face. And we try and focus on user needs and deliver solutions that make sense to them. But today I'm kind of here to talk about something that we we did and have been ongoing doing for probably the last 18 months, 2 years now, but we onboarded a new customer within 4 weeks. So we were joined 2 years ago by Horsham District Council. We onboarded Horsham as a new LGSS revenues and benefits customer after their previous supplier contract ran out, and we took over the service and worked with them as a new customer to try and improve and help them deliver their revenues and benefits services. That covered council tax, business rates, and housing benefit. Now, the previous supplier had outsourced their contact center technology, and being as it was quite a quick contractual change, at the time we pretty much were given a deadline of 4 weeks to have a new contact center in place, because the previous supplier had outsourced it. We had no infrastructure on site and we had no access to the local network. We were left in a bit of a challenge, should we say. I prefer pickle, but you know, it was fun. It was one of those where you kind of think we could panic at this moment, but at the same time, this is a real opportunity. And if we could turn it around into an opportunity to do something different and really test ourselves, I think we thought we could kind of come out pretty well on that basis. So we did. The challenge was deliver a replacement contact center to take customer calls in 4 weeks' time. Now, I will admit, as a bit of a caveat to up front with this, we had played with Amazon Connect previously. So we weren't coming to this completely cold. We had kind of understood what we were coming into. We knew what Amazon Connect was capable of, and Ian's given you a really good run through of just the capabilities that are available in Amazon Connect. So we weren't coming to it completely cold. And our typical approach would have been, had we been in normal circumstances and just followed the sort of documented procedure of shoving in a new contact center somewhere, we'd have put the VoIP phones on desks. That would have fixed the locations of the agents. We'd have done things like extending one of our local networks onto the new customer site, which would have required a whole heap of infrastructure and network changes and security changes. We could have also outsourced it, but one of the challenges that came in with the new customers bringing in Horsham was that they hadn't actually had a lot of control over their telephony for quite a long time. So they were having to make calls to their supplier to ask for changes, to have voice scripts and audio clips updated, to have routing changed and that kind of stuff, which really limited what the control over their own service was going to be. And equally, there could have been a sort of off-the-shelf solution, but again, that potentially was going to limit automation integration capability. So we played with Amazon Connect before, and we knew that essentially just giving people a headset and device was really going to work. So it also allowed people to access from almost any location, which was going to be a huge advantage for onboarding a new customer. It meant that we weren't going to have to mess them around too much. They could use their existing hardware, and as long as they had a headset, they could start taking calls really quickly. And again, in a similar vein, as Ian said, as long as they had a stable connection, they weren't going to need any infrastructure either. So we weren't going to need to make any security, network, or other configuration changes. And again, to meet the user needs of our new customer, it was great because we could easily configure Amazon Connect. If you've not been in already and had a play, I really encourage you to go in and play with Amazon Connect, because the barrier to entry is really, really low. You can open a new Amazon Connect contact center really, really quickly. The configuring contact flows is basically a flow chart. You drop blocks onto a screen and you join them together in the way that you want customers to experience that contact flow. So certainly from a phone call point of view, it's really, really familiar. And it also meant that Horsham, and certainly the team managers at Horsham, especially, who were going to be taking this over from us once we'd set it all up, we're going to be able to take it on and kind of do what they wanted to it. So they suddenly got autonomy back, and they got their control back over their own customer experience, which was really important considering what had happened previously. And the final bonus, I think, for us around Amazon Connect was it was both a service and a product, but the real benefit was it really feels like a service. There's some great things out of the box, as Ian's mentioned, that are pretty much tick boxes to turn on and off. So reporting and dashboards are built in, call recording, agent group management, user access, all this kind of stuff is there just to start using. But the extensibility of some of the services I'll go through in a minute really stuck out to us as something that we could take advantage of to not only automate the sort of experience that people were having, but to integrate to other services and really raise the bar on what we were we were trying to do. So it went beyond being a contact center to being just an extension of the digital experience that Horsham were trying to build. So our approach is actually really simple. So I've not really got a lot of time to spend on this one because it's really, really straightforward. We created a new contact center in Amazon Connect. We drew out all the existing call flows and we just moved those in. We didn't have very long to do it. It was one of the first times this technology had been used in any of the organizations that we work with. So we just migrated what was there. We switched on call recording. We switched on manager listen in. We set up some reports and some dashboards, and we demoed it with users. We took them through. We got some feedback from them. We did that a couple of times over the first 3 weeks. We got all of that in and we demoed it to them over the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then we were pretty much ready to go because we didn't really have a choice, which was the other benefit. But the real bonus was people's confidence in it had really been demonstrated through the demos we'd done and from the feedback we've gained. We then trained the team leaders with existing AWS documentation. So we didn't write any new stuff because one, the AWS documentation from a user perspective as well as from a technical perspective is really good. So we could literally just take the existing team leaders through the AWS docs and go, this is all the functionality you've got available to you. If there's something you see in the documentation that is not switched on, you can probably go and switch it on. And if it's not a button you have access to, come and talk to us and we'll go and make sure you have access to it. We didn't want to overload them and bombard them, so there were certain things we kind of left out, but ultimately we pretty much gave them training with the existing documentation. And we gave them the guide as well for the control panel that Ian showed earlier, so that they could train their staff with that as well. And then we pretty much hit the button and went live sort of within week 4, which was a little bit tense, but actually went really, really well. We didn't have any issues. So we did this all in-house. There were obviously people from AWS on hand for us, but we did do it all in-house at the time, which was, just, for me, just reiterates what Ian was saying earlier about how easy it is to sort of get started on your own. What I really want to get into is the strategic shift I think this brings. So whilst it's a great technology, really easy to onboard, it actually stands for something a little bit more, I think, which is Amazon Connected enabled us to kind of put channel shift in the past, because it meant that customers could keep phoning and it gives an opportunity for us to bring the technology to them. And what I mean by that is that Amazon Connect has such good integrations and is so open that we found with a combination of Lex and another service called Lambda, we could integrate to pretty much anything with an API. So Lambda allows us to bring our code and once again, not actually interact with any infrastructure. We could just bring our code, put it into AWS, and AWS will run our code for us, what's known as serverlessly. Essentially, we're not managing the servers that code runs on. And it only costs us when that code executes as well. So it's really, really low price point for what we were trying to do, and also reduces that barrier to entry on innovation. It reduces the risk and allowed us to just write the code that we needed to generate value for our users, put that into AWS and get it running really, really quickly. And if it didn't work, we could pull it out. It hadn't cost us a fortune and we could go and try something else, which is absolutely amazing. So part of the process with this contact center for revenues and benefits, we also started to look at voice-driven transactions. So not only were we standing up a contact center and onboarding people completely remotely, we brought in this idea of voice-driven transactions to say, well, what if people didn't have to talk to an agent at all? What if they never needed to actually deal with a human? So there's been a tradition of doing things like looking at a customer's phone number and popping up their record in a CRM system, which is great, but it actually doesn't reduce that much work on the officer that's receiving the call. So we started to look at things like, what if we could avoid these calls completely? So voice-driven transactions we've looked at and kind of done and experimented with single person discount, change of address, and direct debit. And the gist of the process is that someone phones up, they're asked their Northgate, in our case, Northgate Revenues account number. They either say or type that in. They're asked then a series of questions using the sort of conversational voice bot services available through Amazon Lex. And then we're using AWS Lambda we write a bit of custom code AWS Lambda will then go and look up that customer's account in the Northgate revenue system, make some logic decisions, and potentially process their single person discount application on the phone, or certainly escalate it through a workflow directly in the system. So at that point, we're avoiding the call almost completely. So we concentrated on 3 main areas because they were relatively simple transactions. And that really, for me, starts to shift the purpose of what this kind of technology can do. It means that people who are not comfortable using the internet, they don't want to have a smartphone and are using apps all the time, or they just don't want to spend that much time online doing these other things. That's all fine. So what we can now do is bring that technology onto the phone line, and they can make the same phone call in the same way that they've been making for however many years previously, but get all the benefits of the internet age. So really the results with delivering the contact center in that time were we delivered a new contact center entirely remotely with pretty much no downtime. The customer service teams were given increased autonomy. So they got to control and now still get to control exactly how their calls are processed and handled. And automating those 3 transaction types saved an estimate of about £20,000 per year. Now, obviously, that's an estimate. That's also assuming we transferred every single one, which we didn't. But equally, you scale up those transactions for very little money and very little investment, you start to see a real benefit from that. Now, very quickly, I just want to run through kind of what's next, what we're in progress at the moment of, which is local government review in Northamptonshire sees us merging. We're working on the merging of 8 councils to form 2 new unitary authorities in Northamptonshire at the moment. And one of the challenges there is that the back office services of the 8 customer service centres will not be merged by day one. So we're not able to actually operationally shift all the people and all the technology onto one platform by day one. That's fine, we accepted that pretty early and we didn't want to disrupt people too much either. So instead we're looking at a way of building essentially a switchboard to help customers navigate that change so that they still end up in the right place. So each new unitary authority will get its own fresh new phone number with its fresh new branding, but we still didn't want to, well, we wanted to make sure that customers were still going to end up in the right place at one of those 8 different councils' contact centres. So customers were going to phone this new number and end up in the right place still. So we've been working on building a voice bot using Amazon Connect. We've used Lex and AWS Lambda again. But essentially the process is this. The customer will phone the new phone number for one of the new unitary authorities. And the customer will be asked to state which council service they need. And then they'll subsequently ask, where do they live? And between Amazon Connect, Amazon Lex and AWS Lambda, those services will then work out the correct customer service team to transfer that call to. And this is starting to introduce and create confidence in the branding of the new unitary authorities. Obviously, it's quite a big change piece in one area to create 2 new authorities. But it's trying to create this, use technology to continue this seamless experience and bolster the brand and the impact and the change of bringing in 2 new organizations. So the process kind of looks like this. So we have a customer call come in, it goes into Amazon Connect, and Lex, the sort of conversational bot, will work out or ask the customer questions around what service they want, where do they live, and AWS Lambda will do some validation in the background using a database service, and it will log the results of that. And then once they've eventually, once the bot's basically worked out what service they need and where they need to be transferred to, they'll be transferred through to one of the 4, in this case, existing customer contact centers on the right that you can see there. Now, we obviously had to do this twice. So for anyone that's aware of scripted infrastructure, there's a link here and it'll be shared around after this talk as well on how we've looked at replicating this process twice for essentially no real additional work as well. So that's a bit of a tangent if you want to go on that one. So results, we piloted this for sort of a 2 to 3 week period initially. The accuracy on customers phoning up and asking for a service began at about 62% accuracy. We iterated and used the data and the feedback we were capturing directly from Connect. So Amazon Connect was then giving us all this data that we were feeding out and being able to query, and using that data around failed calls or failed interpretations of what customers were calling about. We increased the accuracy to 71% in 2 weeks. That subsequently increased to about 76 to 78% now. sort of two further weeks on. We're hoping to get it over 80% before launch time. There's been no negative effect on customer satisfaction, and we've had no new infrastructure required. We just pay for what we use, and it really emphasizes that seamless customer experience. So yeah, we're really pleased with how that's going. And effectively, it's not requiring any additional people time internally to answer or field those calls, which is great. So it's really meeting that customer need where it's needed. That's it from me. I'll hand back to Ian to kind of run through some information now on some outstanding services that have come online over the past couple of months and year or so.
Thank you very much, Dan. I mean, it's really appreciated you running through that with us, and it's fantastic to see just at the pace that LGSS have worked at, and I guess that the technology has enabled you to work at that pace, but just the difference it's made for the the local authorities under your shared service. I did have a question about Horsham District Council. So we talked about towards the end about seamless customer experience, but the training that you delivered on the AWS docs to team leaders, team managers, what was the agent experience like? How easy were the agents able to adapt and get up and running with Amazon Connect? It'd be really good to hear.
Oh, they were actually really pleased. I think as for the kind of, you get the change management side, the people side is often, I mean, the technology, relatively speaking, is made so simple now and so easy to onboard, but the people side then becomes often overlooked, but also even more important. I think they seem to be quite nervous because obviously we were introducing a new system so quickly that obviously they'd not ever heard of before, let alone seen. But I mean, even from the first 20 minutes of just showing it to them and going, look, this is what you'll be doing. This is, I mean, the contact panel that you showed there. It's such a familiar experience in that there's not actually that much to click on. Everything kind of pops up in the order that it's expected to. And the guides that are sort of freely available online are so well put together. They're like put together so that people can actually just read them and use them, that we didn't actually have to do a lot to train them. It was kind of this, all we really took through, certainly the team managers, were the custom bits that we'd done for them. So here's your contact flows configured the way you wanted them to, and this is how that bit works. But all the built-in functionality was already documented so well, we never really had any queries on that. So yeah, I think it was a really good experience for them from a kind of nerve-wracking start, quick change over 4 weeks to a completely new setup. It was a lot of fears were kind of alleviated really early on when it was a quick demo of this is how you answer a call. It was like, oh, that's actually quite a familiar experience. It's very similar to the soft phone they'd used previously. So yeah, they onboarded really quickly, and we haven't really had any queries from agents at all.
That's awesome to hear, and yeah, and again, thank you very much, Dan. I really appreciate your time today, and we'll send out that link that you've put in the slides there with the pack that we send out after the call or after the session today to all attendees. So thanks again.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you. And as Dan mentioned during the last part of his session, is that we're moving on to look at some new technologies that are being made available natively within Amazon Connect. So in July this year, we made generally available some functionality called Contact Lens. And what this allows you to do is provide insights into the customer experience within the contact center. But before we jump into Contact Lens, I just wanted to talk through some of the terms. So the artificial intelligence, when we look at that term, and machine learning, they get bandied a lot about, and it can be really confusing to understand what the difference is between the two. Is machine learning a completely separate thing to artificial intelligence, and what do these actually mean for our for our citizens and the experience that we offer? How can we take advantage of these as well? So just at a really high level, so artificial intelligence is a technique that enables computers to mimic human intelligence. And they can do that using various different means. But what this means is that if you can have an interaction, say, with a bot via a web channel, and that you're asking a question and that bot's providing a response, then it's mimicking human intelligence to provide that response. And all machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that uses machines to search for patterns in data. with Contact Lens for Amazon Connect, we use that machine learning capability to analyze the data that's being gathered within your contact center environment. So what this allows us to do is to get an insight both into the agent experience and the customer experience. So when your customers are getting in touch, we're then able to analyze what they're actually saying on calls, and a huge amount of things like sentiment analysis, detailed analytics of what they're actually talking about. We also look at automated contact categorization as well. So we can group what your citizens are saying into categories so that you can use that for reporting and to identify trends. And coming soon, we've got some additional capabilities as well. So you'll be able to do theme detection. So for example, if you've got flooding in a particular area of the area that you cover, and suddenly you get a lot of contact into the contact center talking about flooding, then we're bringing in functionality to provide a high level view of that. So you can see how many contacts are coming in that are talking about a particular theme. And we've also got supervisor assist coming in as well. So from a contact lens perspective at the moment, it's a historical tool. So customers citizens are calling in, we're running that analytics, and then it's available after the call takes place. What will happen soon is you'll be able to do that in real time so that supervisors can actually inject within a call if need be, or they can understand, for instance, if there's a customer calling in and they have negative sentiment, they're not very happy, then supervisors can understand that straight away and be able to help improve that customer experience as well. And on the flip side of that, if there's an agent that's struggling, maybe it's a training issue and maybe they're having a bad day, the supervisor can also assist from that perspective. And contact lens is based on open and flexible data. So we've talked about open data quite a lot during the session today, but what this means is that you can actually export the data from contact lens in an open format to other reporting tools. And we'll see just shortly when we jump into the console and actually look at what's happening within within contact lens for Amazon Connect, how we can do that. But just to drill into each of these bullets in a little bit more detail, so the advanced search capability. So within Amazon Connect, you can actually search for and review call recordings, or it could be chat contacts as well. And what we're doing with Contact Lens for Amazon Connect is for those contacts which are being analyzed by Contact Lens, we can then do advanced search capabilities. So we can understand keywords that the citizen has said or a member of public has said during that call. We can also drill down and see whether it's the customer or the agent. And again, we'll kind of run through some of these things by going through the actual Amazon Connect console and showing you so that we can actually drill into it a bit deeper. We've also got an enhanced contact detail page. So you'll see here that we can do detailed analytics and sentiment analysis. So we're introducing things like where are there pauses or silences between when the agent's speaking and when the customer is speaking, and a whole host of other functionality that's built into that. We also offer sensitive data redaction as well. So when switched on, you can actually take personally identifiable information such as a customer's name, and we can automatically redact that both from the transcript here and from the call recording as well. And that contact categorization piece as well means that you can create you can create categories for all these different things. So you could have a category for council tax, or a category for inquiries relating to coronavirus or an environmental issues that take place. And again, all of these things, when those calls come in and Contact Lens is analyzing those calls, it can match them to those categories. And just looking at the theme detection piece, just on the right-hand side there is kind of what we envision this looking like when the functionality is going to be available coming soon. Supervisor Assess can also define custom criteria based on the call's characteristics. So if a customer says, I'd like to speak to a manager, we'll be able to detect that in real time, and you'll be able to help out your customers in real time by asking for a supervisor to be engaged within that call. And we talked about the open and flexible data, but it also means that that data, when it's used in other applications throughout your organization, you'll be able to do things like have dashboards up that actually, custom reporting tools within the organization that will be able to get into some more detail about what's happening within the contact center environment. And with that, I'd really like to jump into a demo because I prefer looking at things hands-on, and I'm sure you do too. So bear with me a second. I'm just going to switch to another screen. Okay, and you should be able to see the Amazon Connect console now. So looking at the Amazon Connect console and contact lens itself, we can actually just go into this contact search screen. And what this allows us to do, as I said before, is to search for chat interactions, call recordings, and we can do that in a variety of ways. So with contact lens for Amazon Connect, it expands on that usual functionality you would find when you're able to search for these records. So we can tell what direction the call actually was in. So was it an inbound call? Was it an outbound call? Was that a callback that we offered to customers where Amazon Connect called the customer and kept their place in queue? We can do standard things like search for which agents actually dealt with the call, what the customer phone number was. We can search for that, the queue that was handled the call, and then we can also filter on contacts to say we only want to see voice interactions or we only want to see chat interactions as well. And so apologies, so the phone number field up here is actually for the phone number that the customer has actually called in on, or the citizen had called in on, but we can also search in the customer phone number down here as well. And then the contact lens fields here is we can search for words or phrases, and we can match those phrases to particular calls. So if that phrase was mentioned in a call that a citizen made, then we'll retrieve all the calls where that phrase was mentioned. And that can be used by the agent or the customer. So we can actually search for both or either or. We can also review the sentiment score, not just overall for the call itself, but we can check the sentiment score for the customer during the call, the agent during the call, and then we can also check that shift of sentiment score as well throughout the duration of the call. So maybe we want to find out calls where customers, citizens called in and they were extremely happy at the start of the call, and then they were frustrated and upset towards the end of the call, or the other way around. So they called in and they were frustrated and upset, but then at the end of it, they're actually really, really happy, and that can be analyzed within this tool. And then when we look at non-talk time, so real silent pauses. So sometimes it can intimate that there's a training requirement, or there's an issue with agents having access to information. So if we see long pauses or long non-talk time between the agent and the customer, it can intimate that the agent is struggling to get information, maybe from a knowledge base. And we can use this insight to actually improve the service that we offer both to the contact center staff, but also to citizens as well. So let's jump into a call, and get into a bit more detail and show what actually contact lens is doing. So we can run the search here for all contacts that came in for that particular date, so the 21st of October. We can then drill down on a particular contact, and we can check and open that up within the Amazon Connect console. So what we're actually seeing here is we're starting to get detail about what's actually happening within that contact. So we're starting to see here that the call actually started on a fairly negative sentiment. Towards the kind of just the first part of the call, it went to a neutral sentiment, and then towards the end of the call, we have a positive sentiment. So the customer's a lot happier. And we can see here the different color shading. So we can see the neutral, positive, and negative sentiment percentages for that call in this box. We also see that non-talk time as well. So we can see that 17% of the call was non-talk time. So that could indicate that there was maybe some pauses between the conversation. And indeed down here, so we've got some categories set up as well. So we've got council tax and system issues. And what we're flagging by that is we've created a category to say if the customer or the agent mentions things about system issues, then it could indicate there's a problem within the IT infrastructure or the organization today. So it might be the website's down, or it might be the agent doesn't have access to their application. And within Amazon Connect, we've got a number of rules here. So I've created some pre-made rules. So we've got some rules that say, right, okay, this is, might be a contact about COVID-19. So they maybe mentioned the terms coronavirus or COVID-19. We've got some other rules here as well, environmental. So maybe the customer mentioned flooding, storms, high winds, things like that. So from here, we actually flagged that this call was mentioning system issues. So we've got some keywords and phrases here where computer problems experience system issues, or the system is down. And we've actually flagged that. So contact lens for Amazon Connect has automatically recognized that that's a category that's matched for the conversation for this call. We've also got council tax that's been flagged as well. And we can start to see down here when we look at the recording and the transcript, this allows us to replay the contact down here, just as you would do on multiple systems, contact center systems, being able to replay the call. The difference here is we can actually then track the conversation against the sentiment analysis, and we can also look for peaks here as well. So this particular contact is fairly stable, but if we saw a real peak here with these bars here, it would mean that the customer's talking louder during that period. And if that's matched with this negative sentiment down here, whereas we're seeing this kind of red bar towards the bottom, then that could indicate that the customer is frustrated. And we can also do things like from this block here is we can understand where the customer is speaking over the agent or the agent speaking over the customer, which is really important because again, it could show that there's issues being experienced on that call. And we can click on this as well. So we can choose an area of the call and say, right, okay, this is an area of negative sentiment. I want to actually click on this. And down here, you'll notice that we actually start scrolling down through, automatically scrolling down through the call to identify where this is. So for the customer here, we can see this is a negative sentiment line. We're actually automatically redacting the personal information. So we've redacted the customer's name. And then they've said that they're annoyed because they received a council tax reminder, but they made the payment yesterday. What we're also doing as part of this is we're underscoring this part of the call because contact lens for Amazon Connect is recognizing that this is a call driver. So this could be a reason why the customer's calling in. And from a quality management point of view and a assurance point of view, reviewing these types of contacts, sometimes it could take hours. So before in the, in previous systems and legacy systems where you're in a quality management team, it could take a long time to actually manually listen to call recordings for quality purposes. With Contact Lens for Amazon Connect, you can automatically narrow down to the contacts that you feel deserve the greatest amount of attention and understand what's happening within the contact center environment at that one time. And again, we can see we can actually follow the transcript through the period of throughout the whole process of the call here. And you can actually see by following this transcript that the sentiment is actually improving, and without having to read it all, basically the flow of it is that the customer is annoyed because they've actually paid their council tax, but they've received a reminder letter. And what's happened is they've actually paid it yesterday and the letter has already been issued out to them. So the agent is experiencing some system issues, which again has led to some negative sentiment. System has come back online again. They've checked and confirmed the payments have been received, and they've also recommended that a direct debit is set up as well. So for that type of thing too, is we can use those contact categories that we talked about to make sure that agents in the contact center are providing, the correct information that you want them to. So if the situation for this is that a direct debit is offered to the customer to improve the payment experience next time, then again, that will match against a particular category within Amazon Connect. And down towards the bottom here, we get some basic information about the connection. We can see the queue that the call came in on. You can see the agent looks like they're fantastic, Ian Truesdale, and so that really gives us some additional information. Again, we can see the actual call length as well. So hopefully that gives you a really good overview of Contact Lens for Amazon Connect and the power and the insights it can add to the contact center environment. And again, just to kind of reiterate, is all of the data that's available here within this screen can also be easily exported and is easily exported into your AWS account, and you're in full control of that data. So again, you can take this information and you don't just have to view it via the Amazon Connect console. The power of it is that you can actually take that data and expand on that within your other systems throughout your organization. So I'm just going to flip back to my other screen. And then we'll look at what's next. So how do you get started on your journey? So, I've talked about it. Dan's obviously provided firsthand experience about how easy it is to get started on Amazon Connect. So what do you do next to actually start building your contact center on Amazon Connect, or understand more about the capabilities of Amazon Connect? As Dan says, before they went forward with that project, they'd had a play with Amazon Connect and got up to speed with it. So from a training perspective, we've got a number of free training courses, I think 7 training courses that we've got at the moment, offering our customers the ability to access Amazon Connect training, get started, get up and running. It's really easy and goes through things step by step. We've also got the documentation online that Dan mentioned, so we have comprehensive documentation on our website. But really the best thing to do is to get up and running, register for an AWS account if you've not got one already, create an Amazon Connect instance. Amazon Connect is part of free tier, so that means you get 90 minutes of calls for free to get started with as well. You can then move into this proof of concept phase. So once you've decided that you want to use Amazon Connect, you want to trial that within your organization, it's really a great idea to start looking at some of the workloads that you have at the moment and how you interact with citizens and decide which of those would actually be great for a proof of concept. And there's two schools of thought around this. So the first school of thought is to pick kind of easy and low risk workloads and migrate those across, and that's completely valid. There's another thing as well where you could actually take a more complex workload, and that means that it maybe takes a little bit more effort to begin with, to maybe go through internal governance and that type of thing. But in the long run, it then makes it a lot easier to add those smaller workloads on the back of it. And then you can move forward into production environment as well. And we're here to help you along the way. So we'll be sending out some links as part of the follow-up of this. You'll get the slides, you'll get the link that Dan talks about, and we'll include some links to training resources and materials as well to help you get started on Amazon Connect. And so we do have a fantastic service delivery program that it means that our consulting partners are accredited to show that they've got a high level of expertise with Amazon Connect. So it doesn't matter if if you're looking for an organization to help you just to get started and maybe just take off some of the initial work. Absolutely, our partners are here for that. Or if you actually want a partner to come along and manage Amazon Connect on your behalf, that's completely possible. So there's some of our service delivery program accredited consulting partners on the screen here. And again, all of this information is available on our website. We've got a list of partners, we've got a list of case references, case studies as well, which are, feel free to grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and spend some time looking at it as well. I just want to close out the session today to say thank you very much for joining us. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed showing you Contact Lens, talking through the different pieces. I just want to say thank you very much again to Dan at LGSS for joining us today and sharing his story as well. It's much appreciated. We'll follow up with the information that I talked about. And yeah, thank you very much again. Have a good day.